If you're over 50 and you've been looking for a new job, a new career, let's say for maybe 60 days or 3 months or 6 months or maybe even longer, and you just can't seem to find that job or you can't seem to get hired. Well, it is quite possible that you're making a mistake or two that's preventing you from being hired for that job. In this video, what I'm going to do is I'm going to share with you 11 mistakes that older job seekers make. And the mistakes I'll be telling you about, these are mistakes that can be corrected. Now, I also want to mention one thing. Some of the mistakes that we're going to be talking about today, they're mistakes that people make in their 20s or 30s. But for the most part, these are mistakes. Mistakes I'll be telling you about are mistakes that we make. People who are a bit older when we're out looking for that new job. I'll tell you what those mistakes are. And that, my friends, that's up next right here on Over 50 TV. Welcome back to Over 50 TV, where we offer essential career and money tips for people over 50. My name is Lou Reyes. Before the break, I promised I'd tell you about 11 mistakes that older job seekers make. And one thing I said is that these are mistakes that definitely are correctable. And I also want to mention one thing. Yeah, some of the mistakes I'll be telling you about today, they are mistakes that people can make in their 20s or 30s. But regardless of your age, these are mistakes, as I said, that are correctable. So let's start with mistake number one. Errors on applications includes misspellings or wrong dates. It includes sentences that maybe you forgot to delete. And really, there's no excuse for doing this kind of a thing. And you can't expect a hiring manager to overlook these kinds of errors because this is, as you know, as we've been told for years and years, it's one of the biggest no-nos in the world when it comes to filling out a job application. So whatever you do, don't make a mistake on the job application, especially if you're sitting at home and you are sitting at your computer. You have the ability to take your time and to look it over thoroughly. If you need to have some family member look the application over before you submit it, please do that. One of the reasons that I know we make mistakes when we're older is we really want that job and we're in a hurry to get it. So we're filling out that application and maybe we're rushing. But don't make that mistake. Don't make errors on your application. Another mistake that I have seen older folks make is they'll sit in that interview and they don't ask questions. And really, it just shows a lack of interest and maybe even a lack of preparedness when you are sitting there. You should always ask thoughtful, well-researched questions. This really does tell the hiring manager that you're seriously interested in working for their company. To me, there's no excuse to be into an interview when you know you've got decades of experience. You've heard your friends, your family members, your coworkers all say how you've got to ask questions. So please ask thoughtful, well-researched questions when you're sitting in front of that hiring manager. Underestimate your value. I find this, in some ways, it really does bother me that we as older folks sometimes will underestimate our value. But knowing your real value and your skills and your experience and being able to effectively communicate those strengths, it's really a key to a successful interview. And we don't do it sometimes. I think we might think it's bragging, but don't be shy or reluctant to let that person know that your skills make you the best candidate for that position. When you go into an interview and you believe in yourself, well, then that hiring manager is going to believe in you. But when you don't believe in yourself, it comes across. That hiring manager can read that on your face. And you know what? You're not going to get that job. This is a mistake that can be easily fixed. Believe in you, not researching the company. And I'm not quite sure why this happens, but it's certainly one of the quickest ways of showing that you are not prepared for the job interview. And it also shows that you're lazy and that you're not serious about working for this employer. Now, if you don't take the time to prepare for the interview, how in the world can you expect that employer to trust you to prepare and tackle the work assignments that could be yours if they hired you? But yet, you've got to prepare for that interview. Take your time. Really get to know that company. I believe this. I believe as an older worker, we need to do a little bit more work. We have to put a little bit more effort into being prepared for that interview process. not customizing your resume and your cover letter. And this is extremely important because the skills that you highlight and the keywords that you use in your resume, they really do need to align with that job description. If they don't, the hiring manager, they're not going to know that you've got the skills and the experience that's required for that position. Now, some companies are using a robot or what they call an applicant tracking system or ATS, and they use it to weed through their resumes. And it's very likely that your resume isn't going to pass. It won't pass through what is really an initial phase because the keywords don't or won't match up with your resume. They use these robots because they sometimes get dozens or hundreds of resumes for a position. And these robots, these ATSs, help them process through this preliminary step quite fast. And when they're doing it fast, it's easy for you to get lost. So be sure that your resume, the keywords that you use, is up to date and your keywords align with that job description. Not cleaning up your social media presence. Social media has become a key part of the entire hiring process. Thorough HR people, what they're going to do is they're going to review your social media pages and they're going to look at your post. And what they want to see is they want to see that your social media presence is employer friendly. So whatever you do, delete posts that don't put you in a good light. And if you have a profile picture where you're not smiling, where you're not happy, where it doesn't show you in a good environment, please delete that photo and then replace it with a profile picture that really does show you in your best light. And it's important to do, and I know there's some people out there, and I've talked to them, and that's why I say this. Some people will say, well, you know what, Lou, that's my social media site. That's my social media presence. That's personal. I shouldn't have to do that. But yes, you do have to do that. So clean up your social media presence. Job searching without a plan. It's kind of like going on a trip without looking at your GPS or worrying about how you're going to get to your destination. Your job search, it shouldn't be you just blasting out resumes to every open job that's out there, even though I know many people feel like the more jobs I apply for, the greater are the odds of me finding a job. But the cold truth is that if the job you're applying for, if your skills don't align with that job, well, you're likely to be passed up by the person who's doing the interviewing or even by the ATS or the robots. It's much better to target companies where your skills align with the job and then look for a way to connect with the people who are making those hiring decisions. But to go into a job hunt without a plan that maybe says on this day or these days, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to make this many phone calls or send out this many emails, and I'm only going to send out emails to these particular types of jobs. Without a plan, you're just kind of spinning your wheels. Don't go into a job search without a plan. Not following up. And as a person who's been in sales for most of my life, I know how important follow-up is. And I can tell you when it comes to a job search, whether you're doing a follow-up after an interview or maybe after a networking event, it is critical. It's key. You can't assume that the decision maker who you met or who you interviewed with just loves you and yeah, they're going to be calling you in a week or a month or when they're ready. Don't do that. And I have had many, many, many people, even close family members, tell me, well, I don't need to follow up because I know when they're ready, they're going to call me. Please follow up. And again, whether it's after an interview or after you meet someone at a networking event, I'd give it a day. I'd give it that same day you sent out a thank you email. Then I would give it 3 days after that, and then I'd be contacting them. And if I don't hear from them, I'd give it another 3 days, and then I would send them out another email, or maybe you make a phone call. You don't want to make yourself a pest, but you do need to follow up. It shows that you're sincere. It shows that you want that particular job. As a matter of fact, it's just plain old good form. Not networking. The U.S. Department of Labor and Statistics, they concluded that 85% of jobs are filled by networking. Yet what I find is that many people don't utilize what I call as the ultimate job hunting tactic. I know networking works, and it's from somebody who has been or spent their life in sales. I can tell you this, there's no way a good salesperson or a great salesperson will ever be good if they're not good at networking. And that holds true if you are looking for a job. I will virtually guarantee you that if you network and if you spend 25 to 50% of your time networking, and that also means looking for places to go where you can network with people who are in the field or in the career that you want to be in. If you spend that much time networking, your odds of finding a job are going to go way, way, way up. So please network. It's critical. It's a critical job hunting tactic. And I can't think of a more, I don't want to even say easy way, but a better way to find or land that job that you want. Not appearing confident. You know, after long months of unsuccessful job hunting, it would be understandable if an older person, an older job seeker, felt a little bit uninspired during a job interview. And I think what happens sometimes, we just assume that, hey, this is just going to be another rejection. I don't know why they called me in here. In our minds, we start playing games and thinking, well, I'm here and I don't even know why I'm here. Or they're not going to hire me. But when you do that, that is a recipe for continued unemployment. You've got to go into every single job interview, whether it's by phone or in person, with energy and really got to have a positive attitude. This is something that is so easily controllable. Even if you're sitting out in your car before you walk into that job interview and you're sitting out there and you're nervous and maybe you're sweating and you're thinking, I don't know why I'm bothering. You know what? As soon as you walk out that door and as soon as you walk into that office, be positive, be upbeat, be strong. And you know what? It doesn't take a lot of work to just look them in the eye and say, I am so glad I am here and it is so nice to meet you. Okay, let's go to the final mistake that older job seekers make, and I think this is number 11. It's giving up too soon. You know, most of us know that as we get older, it is a bit more challenging to find a job. Certainly our older friends are going to tell us this, and there's media that says that, and there's a few studies out there that say, yes, it is more tough, it's difficult as you get older. But just because we're older doesn't mean we won't get hired. And what they say, remember this, is as the going gets tough, the tough get going. And it's so, so true. It's time to double down as you get older. It's not time to walk away, to quit and say, you know what, I'm going to take a break. And I've heard people say, I'm going to take a break from looking for a job because, you know what, it's hard. I might end up giving up. Well, the truth is this, the longer that you're away from job hunting, the easier it is to give up. And it's a mistake I've seen that too many older folks make, and I've read some studies, many studies that say that an older person, when they can't find a job, what they do sometimes, especially if they're closer or can get Social Security or maybe some other retirement benefit, they'll just take that benefit and they'll just take it and they'll just suck it up and that's it. But don't give up. There are many opportunities out there, and whether or not if you're looking for a job and you're just having a hard time, well, you know what? Something I always say is start a side hustle. There's a link to the side hustle starter kit in the description box, and I'm not saying that that's what you should do, but it's definitely an option. But the truth is, don't give up just because you're a bit older. Double down. You've got the skills, you've got the talent, you've got the experience. As I mentioned, and one of the mistakes that I think older people make is they don't believe in themselves enough. Well, believe in you. And as I said, if you believe in you, that hiring manager is going to believe in you too. So don't give up. Please don't give up. Well, there you go, folks. I believe I've just given you 11 mistakes that older job seekers make. And as I mentioned, these are mistakes that are correctable. I believe if you are making one of these mistakes, if you recognize that you're doing that, well, you know what? It's easy enough to fix. It's certainly one of those things that you can just look at yourself and say, you know what? I'm not going to do that anymore. Or I'm going to do this now because I know that this will help me. And I mentioned networking is such an important key, and I know that it is. So please consider that. But consider all the things that we talked about here today, because I know that they can help you to find that job, to land that new career that you have been looking for. Well, as I said, that's all I got for you today, folks. I will ask you, though, if you found value in this video, please go ahead and subscribe to Over 50 TV. There's also a thumbs up. If you give me a thumbs up, that lets me know that you enjoyed or got some value out of watching this video. If you're inclined to hit that little bell, if you do that, if you hit that little bell every single time we upload a new video, you'll be notified in your inbox. Well, as I always say, have a great day, everybody.